Uncle Birch coming to you for a 10-minute video. A 10-minute video. Most people don't know that they can do 10-minute videos right now. It hasn't caught on, so I might as well do it because I'm a long-winded motherfucker. Now, I recently called somebody out because they did a spell on camera. Now, we've been going back and forth with that person because that person's somebody who wants to hex people's children and all kinds of stuff. But the point that I made there seems to have, some people are disagreeing. What I said there is what I'll say to my students, what I'll say to you all day, every day. I was taught a long time ago in a land far, far away by people that still knew the craft before it was lost, in the millennial and stuff, until people couldn't pay attention for 10 whole minutes. And we learned that every component of the spell, candles, sigils, whatever you have, even the stones involved, need to be disposed after the spell. Anything that can be burned should be burned. Anything that can't be burned should be buried. These are based on laws of nature. Somebody argued with me, said, well, my spells work, okay anyways, and I haven't done that. Well, your spells could work better if you followed the laws. Now, you should probably come out to New Orleans, August 12th to the 14th, and see Uncle Birch at HexFest. Get over there to hexfest.com. This is one of the few times that I ever go anywhere and teach 3 workshops. I'm going to teach 3 workshops at this HexFest. So this HexFest this year, 2022, you need to be there because one of the things that I'm going to teach is the real laws of magic. The real laws of magic are based in hermetics and the laws of nature. If you've ever heard anybody say, when you banish, you must invoke, it's probably because they heard it from Uncle Birch. It was a constant rule that everybody knew, 40 years ago, but most people didn't know it anymore. And when I brought it up, it blew people's minds because nobody ever heard of that kind of thing. Now, where we used that, when you banish, you must invoke, is because of the laws of nature. Nature abhors a vacuum. If nature is used to having something in a place and you remove it from that place and do not put something back in that place, the laws of nature say that nature abhors a vacuum. She will put back in that place what she's used to having in that place. So now you people out there, getting rid of curses and hexes and bad situations and cleansing houses and that kind of stuff. If you don't put something back after you've cleansed and removed some things, you get the things back that were already there. So you can go and pay somebody to remove a hex and fail to put something in the place of the hex, and about 2 to 3 weeks later, it comes back exactly like it was. So people like me that, will actually do work for clients, we could lose a lot of money if people learned that kind of thing because you're going to be back in about 2 to 3 weeks because it worked, and then now it's not working and you're going to have to pay somebody. But maybe you'll pay somebody that won't tell you this right to your face. You need to put something in that place. Now, we're describing a law of nature there. And as Uncle Birch, if you take my classes over at gumroad.com/witchschool, WITCHSKEWL, next class starts May 1st. It will not exist till May 1st, and it will say May 1st, 2022 on it. That's going to be the right class. As I often tell my students, when we have a law of magic, when we have a consistent rule in magic, we will need to see that applied in at least 9 different places. We will most likely see that same law repeating itself in too many places to count. Any law of magic should be repetitive. We should see many different versions enacted of that. Like the right hand being the projective hand and the left hand being the receptive hand. This is why the wand is held in the left hand and the blade is held in the right hand, because the blade is for projecting and the wand is for bringing things in. Invoking, evoking, that kind of thing. We should see these laws repeat each other everywhere. So that thing that I'm talking about there is the same idea. If we do not, Mojo, come here. If we do not remove those physical components, if those candle drippings still exist, if those sigils still exist, if those stones are still on our altar, the spell's going to be held back. We're going to be holding portions of the spell back. The stone should be buried. If you use those spells, those in the magic now, Stones that are buried, you can later, dig them up and use them for other stuff and cleanse them again. The wax dripping should be burned to nothing. I used to have an old hibachi in the backyard I would use to burn up all of my wax drippings so there's nothing left after the spell. The way this works is we put all of our concentration onto a focal point, be it the candle, the sigil, the stone, the symbol, whatever we got, the doll, whatever we got. And the doll could be burned or the doll could be buried. We put all of this energy on this object for the single purpose of creating its counterpart on the astral plane. Once we have its counterpart on the astral plane, a non-physical version of this thing that's in the physical, and then we remove the thing from the physical, the astral plane has to move to fill that void. If we've done our magic properly, it will fill that void with the object of our desire. It won't just give us back a candle or a sigil or that kind of thing. So I have people always arguing when I teach this kind of thing, but this is another repetition of the same law of nature. Nature abhors a vacuum. If there's something she's used to having in a place and you remove it and fail to put something in its place, she will fill it with what she's used to having there. So if you cleanse a house, fill the house with the opposite of the thing that you got rid of. Was the house filled with negativity? Was it filled with hate? You need to fill that house with love, prosperity, happiness, this kind of thing. Was a person hexed? You remove the hex. What was the hex doing? Giving them bad luck, giving them bad dreams, making so they couldn't sleep, be woken at 3 o'clock in the morning. Well, then we want to give those people happiness, tranquility, prosperity. Your average hexes are going to be like trying to block their prosperity, that kind of thing. So we're going to want to put prosperity, we're going to put happiness back into that person. If you do that for a client and you remove that curse and you fail to put something back into that client, knowing what I just told you, well, then you're a bad witch. There is no black magic and white magic, but there are good witches and bad witches, and many experienced practitioners out there know exactly what I'm talking about. This was a constant rule all of my upbringing for 40 plus years that somehow slid off the landscape during Wicca, because during Wicca we lost most of the magic. Uncle Birch is here to make sure that that doesn't fucking happen. So if you're not subscribing, you should probably subscribe, because I have a very long memory. I have a terrible short-term memory because of, some of my activity most of my life. But the long memory, especially with regard to magic, witchcraft, voodoo, hoodoo, conjure, any type of magic, even ceremonial magic, I never forget it. I remember every one of the magical laws that was there when I was a kid, and those are based on nature, and nature has not changed. Those laws are simple and finite, and any Cosmo witch would know. You get it if you didn't get it. So, you may argue with me on this one concept, but you've got to see where I'm coming from. Every one of these concepts, every one of these laws, every one of these constants in magic, we should see constantly repeating itself in nature, in the universe, right in front of our eyes in a very subtle way. And if we don't, it's not a law. Every law of magic should be seen reflected in nature in a symbolic form. And if it isn't, then it's wrong. But it could be you just haven't perceived it yet. It could still be out there, but do a lot of research before you declare that it isn't. So I wanted to go, I'm still trying to stretch this thing out to 10 minutes to show that you TikTok people, you can go 10 minutes now. It showed up in your notifications. It was from TikTok. Most people don't seem to have noticed that, but you've got to record it offline and then upload it. Exactly like when they first gave us 3 minutes on TikTok. You had to record it offline and upload it. So you go and you watch, you watch it up at 9:12 right now. Make sure it's, 10 minutes or under, and then you upload the damn thing. So the thing that I came to talk to you about today would have been really hard to relay to you in 3 minutes. So thank you for the 10 minutes TikTok. Uncle Birch, I'm out.